Hello and welcome to another Sunday Million highlight show. This one from the 5th of May 2013. 7,274 runners rocked up the $215 necessary for the $1.45 million prize pool. That every week seems to be bigger and bigger. It's huge as ever in the million. And we have got a quality final table for you. Some really big names from the online poker world you may well recognise. Early on, though, we'd have a casualty. Cookie Dough from the UK made a great run through the tournament, but would finish in 9th spot for $11,274. So we'll be 8-handed as we join the action in hand 17. 125,000, 250,000 are your blinds. And if you follow online poker, you may well recognise the names Stamdog, Poker Noob 999, and the short stack in the big blind, Gambler 4444. All of them have appeared at the Sunday Million final table before. Gambler 4444 actually won this tournament last year, back in July, so looking to double up on million titles. And Stamdog made the final table twice in a month back in November 2008. So it's been a while, but he knows what to do in this tournament. So those two facing off here in the blinds. Gambler has a little more than 10 big blinds, and Stamdog's going to make a pretty conventional play and set him in, and Gambler has something to call with. So this could be the spot that he doubles up and gets back into this. Needs to fade the Queen 9, and he may not do it. Queen on the flop, not what he wanted to see. Stamdog vaults into the lead, and that is insult to injury. Gambler 4444 is going to be out in 8th. No second Sunday Million title, but another great run through this event. And he'll have to be content with 8th place and $17,000 in change. And very quickly at the Million final table, we are 7-handed. The other name, and perhaps the most recognisable name, is Poker Noob 999 in the big blind in this hand. That's Tobias Runkenmeyer, who will be very well known to several of you, based in the UK these days. And he won the Sunday Million back in May 2011. So real pedigree at this final table, mixed with some amateurs. It'll be an interesting clash. We should see some good stuff as well. Aussie Owen from the UK has a really nice spot here. Big hand in the cutoff. Looking for action. And Poker Noob, not usually averse to giving a bit of action. Has a very workable stack here, somewhere around the 35 big blind level. He's going to flat call with King 8. We'll see a flop. Obviously feels he has a big enough edge over his opponent to make this one pay, and it is a flop brought to you by Fun Flops Incorporated. Look at that, what a cooler flop. Aussie Owen flops the nuts, but Poker Noob flops the King High flush draw and the straight draw, so every reason to expect fireworks on this flop. Just depends whether either of them slow plays or not. Poker Noob will check. Aussie Owen, you'd have thought, would be looking to shovel his chips in as fast as possible. It'll take him a few bets to get there. They both have decent stacks. They're actually 3rd and 4th in the tournament right now. And Aussie will start by betting. And I mean, Poker Noob has a big hand on this flop. So, no surprise if he just decided to raise and try and either get a fold or get the money in. But he's going to flat call. 2.6 million in the middle. Be interesting if this next card is a blank. Oh, it's an interesting card, isn't it? Pairs the board. Doesn't improve Poker Noob's hand. Don't think Aussie Owen will worry too much about it, though, will he? Very unlikely that Poker Noob has a full house to beat him. So many of those hands would have re-raised pre-flop. And now Poker Noob will lead, trying to represent the jack, or certainly a bigger hand than Aussie Owen's likely to have. Remember, Aussie Owen opened from the cutoff, so no reason to think he has a big hand right now. We can see that he has a monster, of course. Aussie will flat call. 5.4 million in the middle, both of them with a bit more than a pot size bet left. And the 9 may not be a great card for Tobias Reinkenmeyer. Poker Noob makes the straight, but Ozzy Osbourne with the bigger straight. And he'll go ahead and bet. Pretty nice looking value bet. 2.9 million, and Poker Noob with the decision. Hard for him to get away from this one. Very easy for his opponent to have, you know, a lesser hand that he thinks is good, that he's now betting, and he does make the call, and 11.2 million shipped over to Aussie Owen. A really big pot for the British player. Disaster for Reinkenmeyer. I guess that's the advert as to why you don't play King 8 out of position no matter how good you are. But was a little bit of a cooler flop to say the least, wasn't it? On we go, hand 26, 150,000, 300,000 blinds. Action on Stam Dog, a fantastic player, Kevin Stammen, who I'm sure many of you will have heard of. As we said, made the final table of this event twice in 2008, but far more poker laurels than that. He's a two-time Super Tuesday champion, took third place in the 10th anniversary High Roller, and also won a WSOP bracelet a couple of years back. So a fantastic player with his hands on the chip lead right now, but he's not involved in this one. Eric S has the great spot here. Queen's on the button, and this final table has not gone the way that Tobias Reinkenmeyer will have envisaged it, has it? He's got a very standard spot to shove his chips in here with King Jack in the small blind against a button raise, and he's run into the third best starting hand in No Limit Hold'em. Pretty unlucky, pretty lucky for Eric S, providing it holds, of course. Big pot for both of them. Poker Noob with the worst of it. Looking to get out of jail here, and that flop doesn't do it for him. Eric S doesn't want to hit a set, though. 10 of hearts takes that threat away. It would be a full house now, so just the king for Poker Noob, and there isn't one. Aces and queens for Eric S. Wins the day. And Tobias is down to just over one big blind. Not where you want to be, is it? This is hand 28. We're still playing 150,000, 300,000. And we've still got 7 brave adventurers for the money. Playing for a 6-figure sum. Big money as ever in the million. These 7 have got $31,000 locked up. And Poker Noob shoves his 1.3 big blinds into the middle. And Bequeep will have a think and get out of the way. And IA Tutor, which sounds like it's trying to be an amusing name. Quite sure what joke he's going for. I'll think of one by the end. Automatic call for him. And Poker Noob's ahead here, well ahead. Has the King High diamond draw to go with his pair of 7s. And he's going to more than double up. So the comeback is on. 1.1 million is just a little under 4 big blinds. And he would double up again in the intervening period. So as we rejoin things, nearly got it to 10 big blinds and picks up pocket jacks. Well, if he goes on to win it, it'll be quite a story, won't it? We have seen this sort of thing before, though, in poker tournaments. It's more than possible, especially when you've got big blinds and antes like you have at this final table. Poker Noob is all in again. This time he has a hand. And Bequeep might give him action here. Every reason to, isn't there? He's shoving 8 big blinds under the gun. He's going to do that with a ton of hands. Certainly a lot better hands than, sorry, a lot worse hands than ace 10. And Bequeep makes an understandable all-in move. Could be a little bit disappointed when he sees he's run into pocket jacks here. Everybody else is going to get out of the way, you'd have thought. And it's a big pot for both these players. Bequeep does have Poker Noob covered, but would be crippled if he loses this one. Jack's in front as we go to the flop. And they stay in front, but it's another interesting flop. Pair and overcard. Well, the overcard isn't what Bequeep wanted to hit. That gives Poker Noob a straight. and no full house on the river. So a dramatic one. PokerNoob 999 wins it. Tobias Rankemeyer back in this tournament against the odds, was down to one big blind. No such luck for Bequeep. The Finnish player could do nothing about his fate after that one, and he goes out in 7th place, $31,278 for his trouble. Just reminding you, they all started with a $215 buy-in, so a really ridiculous return for an appearance at this final table. The money jumps are really big, though, and a big difference between 1st and 2nd and 7th and 8th. This is hand 34, and Nick in the small blind is going to raise with pocket queens. Gets flat called by Tutor on the big blind. The Russian player is going to see a flop in position. And this is, well, it could be a little bit of trouble for Tutor. He has made a pair, and it is, as you can see, the second best hand. Not sure how wild and crazy Nick's going to go with that ace on the flop, though, and he does check. And Tutor makes a small bet. And Nick calls. And unless something changes on the board, this pot may not get too big. or that could happen. Queen of Diamonds gives Nick a set, gives IA Tutor 2 pair. Does bring the flush card. Although I don't think they'll worry too much about that. Tutor may feel he should bet here. Doesn't want another diamond to come and kill his action. So yeah, 1.8 million is the bet. Nick perhaps thinking about whether he should raise here or just flat call. He is going to raise. Puts another 2.1 million in the middle. Tutor doesn't have too much more behind. Nick could have set him all in there, decided against it. Would have been a little bit of an overbet, but a legitimate play, I think. Now he'll set him all in with the full house on the river. Tutor really just has a bluff catcher at this point, but he is going to put the rest in. Just very few chips left over. Got mini cooler there, blind versus blind, and Tutor hits the rail. We're going to be 5-handed in the million.
Rafa Nadal, 11-time Grand Slam champion, versus Lucia Arroyo. In the town pillow fight of 2009, she was runner-up. We are competition anytime.
Nadal.
We are poker.
The worst thing about that is Rafa ruined his iPad. Don't take them in the bath. Health and safety. Nick is your chip leader. Stamdog in 2nd. Aussie Owen in 3rd. Eric S in 4th. And PokerNoob miraculously bouncing back from one big blind to still be in with the shout of the Sunday Million. 5-handed for the big money. Just before the break, we lost IA Tutor from the Russian Federation. $45,000 for his efforts in this one. And these 5 players have got just under 60k locked up. Must be nice. Of course, when you get to this point, you're dreaming of more. The Sunday Million title and a big 4-figure sum. We're playing 300,000, 600,000 blinds. And Stamdog, who hasn't been involved in too many big pots, just quietly chipping up. Nick has the chip lead after eliminating Tutor in that cooler in the blinds. Stamdog will be very happy with where he is right now. Aussie Owen with the decision in the big blind. Maybe not too much of a decision with 10 big blinds and 8s. However, there are some other concerns here. He has 2 shorter stacks and big money jumps, and that must be what he is thinking about, but decides to go with the hand. He'll get called, and Eric S and PokerNoob, not in a nasty way, will be hoping he gets eliminated. Slightly in a nasty way. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, though. 8 on the flop for Aussie. And 4 of spades locks this one up. So a courageous play, given the other short stacks at the table and just how much money is at stake. But it pays off for him. 12.7 million slides over to him and knocks Stamdog down a little bit, but he still has plenty. This is hand 75, the same blind level, the same 5 musketeers. Eric S will fold. And PokerNoob decides to move in. Tough decision for these 2 short stacks. Poker Noob thinks that King 7 is enough. We can see that he's dominated by Stamdog in the big blind. Is this where the exciting adventures of Tobias Reinkenmeyer, which is a mini-series for children, comes to an end? Stamdog has him in all sorts of trouble, but he's been in trouble before. 7 coming, surely. How difficult is it? Any 7 doesn't matter. Doesn't look good for Poker Noob. It is not good. Stamdog will knock him out after a brilliant bounce back from one big blind. Fun to watch, but it's over now. 5th spot for Poker Noob, $59,000 and change for him. And we are 4 ways pretty quickly at this Sunday Million final table. Eric S. now gets to play short stack, but not so short that he has to play Queen 7. He folds to Stamdog's button raise. And Neek will flat call. This is a really ambitious flat call. Not sure how excited I'd be about playing King 6 offsuit out of position against Stamdog, but there we go. We'll see how it pans out for him. Doesn't flop too much. Stamdog's flopped middle pair, and we'll check back. Just trying to get some action later on. And Neek turns the flush draw, which gives him a little bit of equity here. 2.9 million in the middle. Now he must know that Stamdog has a little bit of something. Don't think he'd be checking and just letting him free roll to this turn otherwise. But he's going to bet anyway. 1.2 million. Stamdog will make the call. Just over 5 million in the middle. And we will see a river card. No help. Does Neek bluff this river? He might feel a little bit obligated to, but I'm not sure what he's really representing. Stamdog makes the call, and a really good demonstration of how a good player outplays someone in position. Neek bluffing at that, and it's turned into a misadventure. 10 million chips over to Eric Stayman. And that closes the gap between first and second. They've separated themselves from the other two. Hand 92, and it's cooler time, everyone. So play the cooler music. Why is there no... I actually asked for some. It was very heavy on bongos. Was going to play while we had a cooler, but another idea I'm not allowed to go through with. Is fine. We do have a cooler though. Ace King suited versus Kings. Eric S is all in. Every right to be. Neek's going to call, and Eric S is going to punch the screen. Really unlucky to run into Kings four-handed with the stack he had, and just hoping for an ace or some kind of funky run out. No help for him on the flop. Well, he can now catch a jack as well as an ace to get out of this one. 7 of hearts is no good. Very unlucky for Eric from Norway. Of course, that one played itself, and he does have the consolation of $77,000 for full spot in the million. Having paid $215, it's not bad, is it? Going out will hurt now, but it'll feel pretty good when you wake up in the morning and check your balance. Really, really good stuff. Hand 93 then, and we're three-handed. And Neek now the dominant chip leader after knocking out another player. Aussie Owen is your short stack. Has just under 16 big blinds. And moves in with ace-8. Three-handed against a button raise. I would say that's pretty standard stuff. Unfortunately for him, Stamdog does have a hand he can call with, but he is flipping. He'll probably take that at this point. Needs to win this to get back in it. Good flop for the sixes. Very fortuitous flop for them. And it's got better, but Aussie Owen can still get out of this. Just needs to hit his hand on the river. Jack doesn't do it. Aussie Owen is going to hit the rail in third spot, and we're going to be heads up for the million.
We are anticipation. Committed. Anonymous. Focused. holding it in. We are poker.
Welcome back to the Sunday Million. It's been a good one, and we are down to these two brave adventurers. Neek versus Stam Dog. Very close, isn't it? 38 million plays 34 million. Just before the break, Aussie Owen hit the rail. He got $116,000. These two would do a deal very close together, and a lot of variance for big money, so you can understand that. They're still playing for the Sunday Million title, of course, and just over $20,000 in cash. So I'll confirm the payouts when we wrap this one up. Could be a little way to go, though. They have got to this point pretty quickly, and they've got some nice stack to work with. 33 million at 300,000, 600,000 means we could see some poker here. You'd suggest that Stam Dog would be the favourite based on their poker CVs to this point. However, it's heads up, and anything can happen. Well, Stam Dog flops kings and fives here. Neek flops nothing. Now, the only pot we've seen them play together was when Neek bluffed and Stam Dog picked him off with a middle pair hand. This time he's not going to check back the flop, so varying his play like good players do. And Neek's going to bluff, which is exactly what Stam Dog had in mind. He now flat calls, so 7.3 million in the middle, and it's down to Neek again. He's ended up playing a big pot, or a bloated pot at least, out of position. How far does he want to take this bluff? The four of clubs doesn't change anything, so he's going to keep firing, just trying to strong arm his man. The really interesting spot if Stam Dog had a lesser hand, if he had like ace high or something, but with the king, just can't see him going anywhere. Neek's not to know that, of course. Could have a much weaker hand than he actually has. Well, I think this will bring another bluff from Neek. It's one of the cards that he can actually represent, saying, oh no, he checks. Decides to give up. Well, the flush draw had arrived, but he figures he's not going to get his bluff through, and he does decide to give it up, and Stam Dog will not only ship that pot, but take over the chip lead. Ominous for Neek. This is hand at 112. We've reached the 400,000, 800,000 level. So still pretty good stacks. I mean, obviously we're playing heads up. They could go in at any point, but Neek has almost 40 big blinds as the effective stack, so not a complete shove fest yet. He will open the button here with Jack 6. And Stam Dog will make the 3-bet. And Neek will flat call. He's definitely shown no fear of playing some pretty, substandard hands. This time he is in position, though, which should help. And we've got a very similar flop to last time. King 7-7. Stam Dog with the 2 pair. Neek with the wing and a prayer. Sort of worked, didn't it? Probably won't use that one again. 3.2 million from Stam Dog, and Neek will make the raise. He's just a bluffing machine. Cannot not bluff. You got to admire his. His cojones. He's just not getting them through at the moment. Can he get this one through? A little bit of a tough spot for Stam Dog. His sixes don't beat anything that Neek could have for value. But he's not a believer, and he's absolutely right. Stam Dog makes it just over 30 minutes ago, and Neek has to fold. Another misadventure in bluffing. I love it. It's fun to watch. Neek really giving it a go here against a really well-established tournament player. Showing no fear whatsoever, despite the fact that they're playing for the title and for 5 figures in cash. And to be fair to him, he's run into hands. Stam Dog's had something to play back at. Who's to say these bluffs wouldn't have been successful in different situations? Stam Dog again 3-betting, Neek again calling. And oh dear, all my life. Well, it's tough to beat a good player heads up at any stage, but when he's getting hands, it's even worse. And when you also get something, well, you're in serious trouble, of course. Stamdog with the set, Neek with top pair, horrible for Neek. Does also have the gut shot. I mean, you'd be shocked if the money didn't go in here. Neek will make the raise. Stamdog will fist pump. Quick run around the room in celebration. Back to the computer before you time out. And put the money in. Well, nearly. He's just going to make a small raise in case Neek wants to do something weird. But as we can see, Neek has a legitimate hand. All the money's in. And Stamdog's going to win this tournament unless Neek can catch here. 2 of hearts, no good whatsoever. Just an 8 on the river, or this one is over. Neek praying for an 8, and there it is. Well, just like falling off a log, up pops the 8, and Neek gets out of jail. And more than that, Stamdog goes from, well, 4 outs away from winning the tournament to being short-stacked and being in trouble. Extraordinary how fickle this game is. Horrible for Stamdog. He's now shoving with the King 10, and Neek will call him, so he could get back into it here. If the King 10 holds up, and it's a favourite to do just that, he'll have a workable stack again. Of course, if it doesn't, Neek wins this one. 9 on the flop, and just when he needed them, the Polish player is catching cards. Neither player has a club, so Stamdog needs a king or a 10 to keep this one going. Queen makes 2 pair on the river for Neek. He does it in style. Takes down Stamdog in the heads up. Got cards when he needed to, but you've got to be there. Neek is your Sunday Million champion. He wins $200,000 and takes down an amazing final table with 3 previous Sunday Million final tablists. Not least Stamdog in second, $178,000 for him. And Aussie Owen with a 6-figure payout for him in third spot. Great final table, real pedigree on it, but it's Neek that held the day. Really fun one to watch. I hope you enjoyed it. We're building up to the Spring Championship of Online Poker. We'll bring you all the highlights that matter from that. Until then, I hope you've enjoyed this one. I'm Nick Wealthall for everyone at PokerStars.tv. Take big care.